Welcome to RLP Audiobooks channel, the channel that brings forgotten books back to life in audio format, so you can listen to whenever and wherever you desire, whether you're driving, chilling, and even sleeping. Please consider subscribing to the channel and click the notifications button so you don't miss out on any other videos. Now, relax, listen, ponder, and enjoy.
Surah 53. An-Najm. Context. Period of revelation. According to a hadith related by Bukhari and Muslim, on the authority of Abdullah bin Mas'ud, this is the first surah in which a verse requiring the performance of a prostration, sajda, was sent down. The parts of this hadith which have been reported by Aswad bin Yazid, Abu Ishaq, and Zubair bin Muawiyah from Ibn Mas'ud indicate that this is the first surah of the Qur'an, which the Prophet had publicly recited before an assembly of the Quraysh, and according to Ibn Marduyah, in the Kaaba, in which both the believers and the disbelievers were present. At the end, when he recited the verse requiring the performance of a sajda, and fell down in prostration, the whole assembly also fell down in prostration with him. Even those chiefs of the polytheists who were in the forefront of the opposition to the Prophet, could not resist falling down in prostration. Ibn Mas'ud says that he saw only one man, Umayyah bin Khalaf, from among the disbelievers, who did not fall down in prostration, but took a little dust and rubbing it on his forehead said that was enough for him. Later, as Ibn Mas'ud relates, he saw this man being killed, in the state of disbelief. Another eyewitness of this incident is Mutalib bin Abi Wada, who had not yet become a Muslim. Nasai and Musnad Ahmad contain his own words to the effect.
When the Prophet recited the Surah An-Najm, and performed the sajda, and the whole assembly fell down in prostration along with him, I did not perform the sajda. Now to compensate for the same, whenever I recite this surah, I make sure never to abandon its performance.
Ibn Sa'd says that before this in the Rajab of the 5th year of prophethood, a small group of the companions had emigrated to Abyssinia. Then, when in the Ramadan of the same year this incident took place, the news spread that the Prophet had recited Surah 53, An-Najm, publicly in the assembly of the Quraysh, and the whole assembly including the believers, as well as the disbelievers, had fallen down in prostration with him. When the emigrants to Abyssinia heard this news, they formed the impression that the disbelievers of Mecca had become Muslims. Thereupon, some of them returned to Mecca in the Shawwal of the 5th year of prophethood, only to learn that the news was wrong, and the conflict between Islam and disbelief was raging as furiously as before. Consequently, the second emigration to Abyssinia took place, in which many more people left Mecca. Thus, it becomes almost certain that this surah was revealed in the Ramadan of the 5th year of prophethood. Historical background. The details of the period of revelation as given above point to the conditions in which this surah was revealed. During the first 5 years of his appointment as a prophet, the Prophet had been extending invitation to God's religion by presenting the divine revelations before the people only in private and restricted meetings and assemblies. During this whole period, he could never have a chance to recite the Quran before a common gathering, openly, mainly because of the strong opposition and resistance from the disbelievers. They were well aware of how magnetic and captivating the Prophet's personality was, and in addition, were impressed by the revelations of the Quran and his way of preaching. Therefore, they tried their best to avoid hearing it themselves, and to stop others also from hearing it, and to suppress his invitation by false propaganda, by spreading every kind of suspicion against him. For this objective, on the one hand, they were telling the people that Muhammad had gone astray, and was now bent upon misleading others as well. On the other hand, they would raise an uproar whenever he tried to present the Quran before the people, so that no one could know what it was, for which he was being branded as a misled and misguided person. Such were the conditions, when the Prophet suddenly stood up one day to make a speech in the sacred precincts of the Kaaba, where a large number of the Quraysh had gathered together. God at that time made him deliver this discourse, which we have now in the form of the Surah 53, An-Najm. Such was the intensity of the impression, that when the Prophet started reciting it, the opponents were so completely overwhelmed, that they could not think of raising any disorder. And when at the conclusion he fell down in prostration, they too fell down in prostration along with him. Later they felt great remorse at the weakness they had involuntarily shown. The people also started taunting them, to the effect that whereas they had been forbidding others to listen to the Qur'an that day, not only had they themselves listened to it with complete absorption, but had even fallen down in prostration, along with Muhammad. At last, they had to invent a story, in order to get rid of the people's taunt and ridicule. They said,
after he had recited, Al-Farait, Al-Lata, Wal-Uzza, Wa-Manat, At-Talitha, Al-Ukra, we heard from Muhammad the words, Tilkal, Ga'ranika, Talula, Wa'ana, Shafat, Hana, La, Turja. They are exalted goddesses, indeed their intercession may be expected. From this, we understood that Muhammad had returned to our faith.
As a matter of fact, only a mad person could think that.
In the context of this surah,
the sentences they claimed to have heard could have any place and relevance. The subject matter and topics. The theme of the discourse is to warn the disbelievers of Mecca about the error of the attitude that they had adopted towards the Qur'an and the Prophet Muhammad. The discourse starts in a way as if to say,
Muhammad is neither deluded nor gone astray, as you are telling others in your propaganda against him, nor has he fabricated this teaching of Islam and its message, as you seem to think he has. In fact, whatever he is presenting is nothing but revelation, which is sent down to him. The belief that he presents before you are not the product of his own assumptions and speculation, but realities of which he himself is an eyewitness. He has himself seen the angel, through whom this knowledge is conveyed to him. He has been directly made to observe the great signs of his Lord. Whatever he says is not what he has himself thought out, but what he has seen with his own eyes. Therefore, your disputing and wrangling with him is just like the disputing and wrangling of a blind man with a man of sight, over a thing which the blind man cannot see, but he can see.
After this, three things have been presented in their successive order. First, the listeners have been made to understand that the religion that you are following is based on mere conjecture and invented ideas. You have set up a few goddesses like Lat, and Manat, and Uzza, as your deities, whereas they have no share whatever in divinity. You regard the angels as the daughters of God, whereas you regard a daughter as disgraceful for your own selves. You think that these deities of yours can influence God in your favor, whereas the fact is, that all the angels together who are stationed closest to God, cannot influence him even in their own favor. None of such beliefs that you have adopted is based on knowledge and reason, but are wishes and desires, for the sake of which you have taken some whims as realities. This is a grave error. The right and true religion is that which is in conformity to the reality, and the reality is never subject to the people's wishes and desires, so that whatever they may regard as a reality and truth, should become the reality and truth. Speculation and conjecture cannot help to determine as to what is according to the truth, and what is not. It is knowledge. When that knowledge is presented before you, you turn away from it, and brand the one who tells you the truth as misguided. The actual cause of your being involved in this error is that you are heedless of the hereafter. Only this world is your goal. Therefore, you have neither any desire for the knowledge of reality, nor do you bother to see whether the beliefs you hold are according to the truth or not. Secondly, The people have been told that God is the master and sovereign of the entire universe. The righteous is he who follows his way, and the misguided, he who has turned away from his way. The error of the misguided, and the righteousness of the righteous, are not hidden from him. He knows whatever everyone is doing, he will retaliate the evil with evil, and the good with good. The final judgment will not depend on what you consider yourself to be, and on tall claims you make of your purity and chastity, but on whether you are pious, or impious, righteous, or unrighteous, in the sight of God. If you refrain from major sins, He in His mercy will overlook your minor errors. Thirdly, a few basic principles of the true religion, which had been presented hundreds of years before the revelation of the Qur'an, in the books of the prophets Abraham and Moses, had been reiterated, so that the people did not remain involved in the misunderstanding that the Prophet Muhammad had brought some new and novel religion, but they should know that these are the fundamental truths, which the former prophets of God have always been presenting in their respective ages. Besides, the same books have been quoted to confirm the historical facts, that the destruction of the Ad, and the Thamud, and of the people of the prophets Noah, and Lot, was not the result of accidental calamities, but God has destroyed them in consequence of the same wickedness and rebellion, from which the disbelievers of Mecca were not inclined to refrain, and desist in any case. After presenting these themes and discourses, the surah has been concluded, thus:
The hour of judgment has approached near at hand, which no one can avert. Before the occurrence of that hour, you are being warned through Muhammad and the Quran, in the like manner as the former people had been warned before. Now, is it this warning that you find novel and strange, which you mock and ridicule, which you turn away from, and cause disorder so that no one else also is able to hear what it is? Don't you feel like weeping at your folly and ignorance? Abandon this attitude and behavior, bow down to God, and serve Him alone.
This was that impressive conclusion, hearing which, even the most hardened deniers of the truth were completely overwhelmed, and when after reciting these verses of divine word, the messenger of God fell down in prostration, they too could not help falling down in prostration along with him. Surah 53. An-Najm.
The Star.
In the name of God, the most compassionate, the most merciful. By the star when it descends, your companion Muhammad has not strayed, nor has he erred, nor does he speak from his own inclination. It is not but a revelation, revealed, taught to him by one intense in strength.
Gabriel.
One of soundness.
Meaning, strength of body and of mind.
And he rose to his true form.
Gabriel appeared to Muhammad at the outset of his prophethood, in the angelic form, in which God originally created him.
While he was in the higher part of the horizon.
Meaning, in the sky, above the eastern horizon.
Then he approached, and descended, and was at a distance of 2 bow lengths or nearer. And he revealed to his servant.
To the servant of God, Prophet Muhammad.
What he revealed.
Conveyed.
The heart.
Meaning, mind or perception of the prophet.
Did not lie about what it saw. So, will you dispute with him over what he saw? And he certainly saw him, in another descent.
Meaning, on another occasion. During his ascent into the heavens, Al-Miraj, the prophet also saw Gabriel in his true form.
At the low tree, of the utmost boundary, near it is the garden of refuge.
Paradise.
When there covered the low tree, that which covered it.
Then and there, he saw Gabriel in angelic form.
The sight of the prophet did not swerve, nor did it transgress its limit. He certainly saw the greatest signs of his Lord. So, have you considered Al-Lot, and Al-Uzza? And Manat, the third, the other one?
The 3 names given in this, and the previous verse, are those of well-known goddesses, which were worshipped by the pagan Arabs, before the spread of Islam.
Is the male for you, and for him the female? That then, is an unjust division.
According to their own standards,
They are not, but mere names you have named them, you and your forefathers, for which God has sent down no authority. They follow not, except assumption in what their souls desire, and there has already come to them from their Lord, guidance. Or is there for the human being whatever he wishes? Rather, to God belongs the hereafter and the first life. And how many angels there are in the heavens, whose intercession will not avail at all, except only after God has permitted it, to whom he wills and approves. Indeed, those who do not believe in the hereafter name the angels female names, and they have thereof no knowledge. They follow not, except assumption, and indeed assumption avails not against the truth at all. So turn away from whoever turns his back on our message, and desires not, except the worldly life. That is their sum of knowledge. Indeed, your Lord is most knowing of who strays from his way, and he is most knowing of who is guided. And to God belongs whatever is in the heavens, and whatever is in the earth, that he may recompense those who do evil with the penalty of what they have done, and recompense those who strive for excellence with the excellent reward.
Those who avoid the major sins and immoralities,
only committing slight ones. Indeed, your Lord is vast in forgiveness. He was most knowing of you when he produced you from the earth, and when you were fetuses in the wombs of your mothers. So do not claim yourselves to be pure. He is most knowing of who fears him. Have you seen the one who turned away, and gave a little, and then refrained? Does he have knowledge of the unseen, so he sees?
Knows that his provision will be exhausted if he spends on the poor, while God has promised otherwise.
Or has he not been informed of what was in the scriptures of Moses and of Abraham, who fulfilled his obligations, that no bearer of burdens will bear the burden of another, and that there is not for the human being, except that good for which he strives, and that his effort is going to be seen, then he will be recompensed for it with the fullest recompense, and that to your Lord is the finality, and that it is he who makes one laugh and weep, and that it is he who causes death and gives life, and that he creates the two mates, the male and female, from a sperm drop, when it is emitted, and that incumbent upon him is the other.
Next,
creation. And that it is he who enriches and suffices, and that it is he who is the Lord of Sirius,
a star worshipped by some of the pagan Arabs.
And that he destroyed the first people of Ad and Thamud, and he did not spare them and the people of Noah before. Indeed, it was they who were even more unjust and oppressing. And the overturned towns,
whose inhabitants defied Prophet Lot,
he hurled down, and covered them by that which he covered.
Meaning, a rain of stones.
Then which of the favors of your Lord do you doubt? This prophet is a warner from,
like,
the former warners. The approaching day has approached. Of it from those, besides God, there is no remover. Then at this statement do you wonder? And you laugh, and do not weep while you are proudly sporting?
Additional meanings are, singing with expanded chest, heedless, or, lost in vain amusements.
So prostrate to God, and worship him.
Thank you for listening. If you have enjoyed listening to this book, please give it a like, and consider subscribing to the channel, and click the notifications button, so you don't miss out on any other videos.